Hi folks, this is Max with The Way of the Elbow Rolfing. I wanted to add just a few thoughts to the last video on the same theme, the theme of gravity. Ida Rolf famously once said that for the integrated body, gravity is the therapist. And I wanted to speak a little bit about what she might have meant by that statement. I've already spoken a little bit about it in the video immediately prior to this, and I can try to provide a link to that video in the notes to this one. But essentially the idea, which again is something of a recapitulation from the last video, but the idea is how do we work to educate the body is so that it's able to be responsive to the environment. In earlier videos I've referred to this principle under the rubric of adaptability. The idea of being able to respond to the environment. And anytime we have some kind of inhibition or tension or restriction, this represents a way in which we're sort of frozen from being able to respond to the environment in a living and active way. And so a suggestion that gravity can provide therapy for us. This is again, it's a condition has to be met, and so gravity is the therapist, provided that we're able to gravity will align us, provided that we're able to attune to gravity. And I mentioned the difficulty with this in the last video, which is that just because it is so prevalent and ubiquitous for us, gravity is, just for that reason we generally cease to notice it. I mentioned the exception of little children when they're first learning to walk. They have to be exquisitely attuned to the field of gravity and very sensitive to it. As we age, we tend to lose that immediate sensitivity to gravity. And as a result, because we lack the sensitivity, we're not able to attune to gravity. And the consequence of that, gravity doesn't go away if we don't, merely because we don't notice it. Gravity doesn't cease to function merely because we cease to attune ourselves to it. So the result of that is naturally the accumulation of tension as a result of necessary tightening over time in order to overcome ways in which we are kind of struggling with gravity. And so then the kind of fundamental question is, how do we promote sort of sensitivity and perceptiveness in the body and all of the tissues so that we're able to align ourselves in this way, and so that we're able to basically sense and experience what is always already the case. The image often comes to my mind of the way we might calibrate a compass to the magnetic field of the Earth. But in order for the compass to function, we have to calibrate the compass, right? And so in some ways we can think of that as a metaphor for the project of Rolfing. It's similar, it's the same metaphor in a way, because again, if we picture the way that iron filings, if you draw a magnet under the table, for example, with iron filings on it, they will all the iron filings, they will line up like little soldiers, one by one, in perfect attunement to this magnetic field, right? And in some way we can take inspiration from the little iron soldiers and become more vertical. This was another one of Ida Rolf's visions, is that in some way it's like we are becoming vertical. We're not vertical. Vertical is not a static condition that we've already reached. It's rather something that we are becoming and aspiring to. So I hope that this video I was able to provide a little bit more, a few more ideas, maybe some new ways of seeing things, and maybe some inspiration. And so with that, I will of course, before ending the video, send my very best wishes to any of the viewers, wherever you happen to be viewing this, and whatever time you happen to be viewing this. Farewell from signing off from Max at the Way of the Elbow.